Woodstock traffic, Juliet Papa Hotel, departing 3-1, Woodstock. It is rocky and rolly this evening. I was not expecting this level of turbulence. Well, as you can see, winter has arrived. There isn't a whole lot of snow yet. Technically, I could still land off-field if I wanted to. It would probably make a bit of a mess of the airplane, so I probably won't. But I just wanted to come out and check out the pretty snow, I guess, although it's not super pretty yet. There's still a lot of crops poking through the light layer of snow that we got. But one of the things I was going to do on this flight, and that's providing the wind conditions allow me, is get a little slower on my landings and hopefully get my nose wheel up a little higher. This plane sits nose high, sitting on the ground because of the landing gear configuration. So whenever you think you're flared nicely for touchdown, sometimes your main wheel hits or is only a couple of inches off the ground compared to your main. So I got to really get that nose up a little higher to make sure that I protect that nose wheel touching down when I'm doing off-field landings. So that's something I was going to work on tonight. So we'll see if the weather conditions allow for that. But otherwise, I thought I would just do a quick tour around. Probably won't show you too much because there's not really a whole lot to see, and I'm not going to be very interesting because I got nothing to talk about. So come and look at some pretty snow for a couple of seconds here, and then we'll pop over to the airport and do some, hopefully, nose-high landings. So something to improve your confidence when flying low to the ground and you're slow is to do higher altitude slow flight, because it gets you familiar with how the airplane should respond when you're down lower. So I'm sitting here at 30 knots, 33, 34. I'm kind of between 30 and 35, and I mean, I can still control the airplane. It's not on the edge of stall. It feels like it's very comfortable. If I were to slow down a bit more, about 21, I guess, it's stalled. Do that again. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. Yeah, like 25 is like safe. Although I don't think I would. I think 30 would be like my minimum safe. Like there's 25, 22, 23. Like I'm right. I can feel the stall like right there. It's happening, but it's not fully developed and the nose isn't dropping. I mean, that's a huge benefit of having Vortex generators. But like coming in at 25, you can do some really short landings if you could. Problem is I can't see where I'm going. I'd have to like look out this side here. Oh, there's a stall there. Like 35 should be like very comfortable for me, but down low, it just isn't. Like I just don't feel that comfort knowing that I can control the plane at that slow speed. But I mean, I just demonstrated that I certainly can. I think I just got to get used to flying the plane slowly, and that way when I'm close to the ground, it doesn't freak me out as much. Well, I think one of the things is the ailerons on this plane are so light that it feels like you're not controlling the airplane. And I say that because in the Zenith, the last plane that I flew in this configuration, the stick had force feedback almost. The hinges were different on the aileron so that when you let go, the stick would snap back to center. So it always felt like you were controlling the plane, where this, they don't necessarily snap back to center. You have to move them back. And it feels like you you have less control, which I know isn't the case. It just feels like it. And a lot of skill in flying comes from the confidence that you're in control of the airplane. And if you're not in control of the airplane, or you don't feel like you're in control of the airplane, you're going to stay really far away from the edge of the envelope. And if you want to do short takeoff and landing stuff, you got to get pretty close to the edge of that envelope if you really want to get down and stop in really short distances. And that's what my favorite thing to do in flying airplanes is landing and taking off in really short distances. So I need to get more comfortable in this airplane. So I'm just going to fly around slowly for a little while and see if that helps me when I go back to the airport and try a couple touch and goes. I'm not going to touch down and hammer on the brakes and try to stop as quick as I can. There's a bit of ice and snow on the runway. And that's not the point of this exercise. The point is to come in slower and be more comfortable at that high alpha flare. So that's what the goal is. It's not to actually stop short. That will come naturally. If I needed to stop, I would just put the brakes on. But we'll go check that out in a few minutes. See, with the flaps up, 30 is like the stall is developed there. Like you can feel that buffeting around. I put the flaps in, it goes away. And can I still turn? Sure can, but the roll rate's a lot slower. That's to be expected. That's why in gusty conditions, and especially with sidewind, crosswind, you don't want to be doing super slow stuff because you do lose control surface effectiveness and you would lose control over the airplane. So you want to make sure that you are able to control the airplane if you get hit with a gust, which is why, depending on the conditions on landing, I don't know how slow I'm going to actually get. Let's go try it out. What's our traffic? ApolloFox India Juliet Papa Hotel, about 3 miles north. We're going to be across the midfield, joining downwind runway 31 for touch and goes, Woodstock. Forgot to say my altitude. If anybody comes on, I'll tell them. So I think I'm going to aim for 35 as my minimum, which means I'll probably be coming in around 40 because I like to have some forgiveness there. So let's see how this does. Woodstock traffic, Juliet Papa Hotel, final 3-1, touch and go, Woodstock. So, ideally, what my goal is to touch down on my mains and then get back off the ground again without my nose wheel touching. That means that I've got the airplane at a high enough angle of attack that I will protect my nose wheel if I'm landing in rough country. So there's 40-ish. I'm also using these numbers here, not that number. There is a slight discrepancy, so if you're watching that and I'm calling out numbers that doesn't agree with, it's because I'm looking at this. The camera doesn't always pick that up very nicely. So, alright, there's 44, 43. $42, 40, so you gotta stick all the way back, the nose wheel still came down. Guess I need a bit more throttle in to keep some air over the elevator to keep the nose up. I was okay with that. I'm gonna try that again though. Huge thanks to those of you who are actually watching this video, because this is not an interesting video for most people. This is more like a technical video as opposed to an adventure video. So if you guys are enjoying this, let me know in the comments. I can do more of it, but probably not a whole lot, because most people like it when I land next to a highway and stop traffic or something like that, like in my last video. But these ones are fun to do too, and it's good for me because I get to practice. Alright, so there's 43, 42. 41. 35. Alright, so I did not hold center line very well on that one, but in my defense I couldn't see it very well either, but I could tell that I was drifting. And that was, I don't know if I lost situational control there, or if there was more of a crosswind than I was accounting for, I'm not sure, but I managed to keep it on the mains and not touch the nose wheel down, so that's cool. I'm going to try that again. And I think I touched down. I think it was like 35 where I touched down, which I'm pretty happy with that. So I think on a calm day, what I would want to do is approach at 35 and touch down at 30. I think that would be ideal, but I think today, approaching at 40 and touching down at 35 is a good step in the right direction, and this should build some confidence, and then next time I should be a bit more comfortable coming in a little slower, and of course on a calmer day. The other comment I've had recently is it doesn't look like you have a whole lot of headroom in that plane. You really do. I have to like stretch my head up, and just the top of my headset will touch the skylight. The reason why I'm always hunched down like this is so I can see under the wing. The wing is mounted lower than it was in the Zenith. The Zenith I can sit up straight and look sideways and see under the wing. This plane I kind of have to hunch down to see under it. So that's why it always looks like I don't have much headroom. I actually do. And when I'm flying in cruise and not worried about where I'm going, I often am sitting up properly with good posture. But off-field and adventure flying, I'm often hunched forward. I think somehow if I lean forward, I feel like I can see further. So that's completely not true, but the psychological things we do to ourselves, eh? Alright, here we go. Get our speed down. Try another wheelie. It'd be really cool if I could do that. Violet would roll her eyes at me for that one, I'm sure. A little faster on this one. There we go, that's better. You kind of have to sink behind the power curve just a little bit to get it to sit there. Look, a little bit slow on that one. 35. Touching down at 28. But you notice when I did that, I pulled the power, the nose wheel came down right away. Which, you know, at that speed isn't a big a deal, but that was not the point of my exercise tonight. The point was keep the nose wheel off the ground. I'm trying to save the tread, you know, it's expensive stuff. I should mention that this flight actually is thanks to one of my comments on my last video. A pilot from New Zealand, and I can't remember his username on YouTube at the moment, commented, he said, you know, you should try to keep your nose wheel up. You can smash a nose wheel off, speaking from experience. So, story that happened to you, and thank you for letting me know so I can practice so it doesn't happen to me. He flies a Savannah, which are really cool planes. That's like the upgraded Zenith 701. I like them quite a bit. Alright, so I'm turning quite a bit sooner. I'm going to see if I can come down a bit steeplier, that's a word, by coming in slowlier. So if I bring my speed back to like 40 out here, I should sink at a higher angle, which should still let me get to the numbers on time. Maybe. It does not feel like I'm going down. I'm going down 440, 400 feet per minute, 300 feet per minute. I'm not sinking very fast at all. There I'm at 30, 38, 39, and not sinking. Like, that was my reply to the comment to the gentleman from New Zealand. I said, it's hard for me to get the plane to come down in a nose-high attitude because it wants to float. Like, the plane is more aerodynamic than the Zenith. With the Zenith, if I pulled the power where I did, I'd have been on the ground by now. Like, it just drops like an elevator, and this does not. So even still, I'm at 40, and I'm still not going to get down in time. So I'm putting it into a little bit of a slip. There we go. That feels better now. And we'll see if that... Oh yeah, there we go. In fact, I think I may be below my glide slope now. So I'll lower the nose and see if I can get through... Oh, I also have a severe headwind now. Right. Forgot about the wind. Got 12 knots on the nose, so that's going to help. I'm going to actually add just a bit of power. I'm going to keep my speed like in the 40-ish range. Right now I'm high, so I'm going to slow down a bit more. But now we're sinking. There we go. Once I get below 40, it tends to drop. There's 35, 30. Holding it with some power. There, now keep my nose up, keep my nose up, keep it on the center line. There we go. That was better. I didn't hate that. I didn't catch all the numbers at the end there. I'll have to use the camera to review. But I felt happier with that one in terms than my previous one, where I was able to keep the nose wheel up. And I think I was much slower, at least than I have been compared to previous flights. Get our flaps in early, start to slow down, and let's see if we can do a bit more of a traditional, normal circuit as opposed to those long ones I've been doing. That may mean that I need a slip. We'll see. So I'm definitely high, so I'm going to do a slipping turn. What that is, I'm using a lot of ailerons, but not a lot of rudder. In fact, opposite rudder. And that's going to expose the side of the airframe to the airflow as I drop down, and that's going to introduce more drag, which will help me to descend. And look at that. Pretty much right on the glide slope that I wanted. Yeah, around 45, the plane still feels like it's flying, and when you hit 40, it starts to feel like you're using the engine power to hold it in the air. So 40 seems to be about where that power curve kind of drops out from under it, which I guess is what I've been looking for. Because yeah, there's 40, and now you see the plane sinking. Now I'm controlling it with a throttle. There's 36. Yeah, see, I let the power out too quick. Nose came down. Alright, let's see if we can do best rate of climb is 65. 1350 feet per minute at 60. There's 65. Oh, 1400 feet per minute, just for a second it kicked in there. So that's, by the book, best rate of climb, 65. I usually do 70. Next one I'm going to do is my best angle of climb, which is 55. Alright, starting to get dark. I think I will do this one and then one more. Really going to try to keep the nose wheel up on this one, and then the last one I'm going to see if I can stop by the taxiway. Too much throttle. I kept the nose wheel up though. I thought I was going to bounce right back into the air, but I didn't. Alright, last one I think. Oh yeah, going for 55 on this one. Here's my best angle of climb. Best angle of climb, 1290, 1280, 1300. So it's 100 feet per minute slower. But you get up quite a bit steeplier. That's a word. Look at that, pattern altitude, almost by the end of the runway. By the end of the grass runway, anyway. Of course, that's with a pretty stiff headwind, so I wouldn't be able to do that in calm conditions. Alright, aiming for the taxiway. By virtue of touching down very slowly, not by slamming on the brakes. So I obviously have to use some braking. But I want to use minimal braking. I wonder how good you guys can see with the darkness. I know this camera should be good. That's my low light camera. I think the 360 camera does a good job. I don't know about this camera or the strut camera. I guess we'll find out in editing, won't we? Woodstock traffic, ApolloFox India, Juliet Papa Hotel, final 3-1, full stop, Woodstock. Little low. this one. I don't like it. I should be a little higher, so I'm just going to put in a little bit of power and it's going to hold my altitude for a minute. And once I like it again, I'll pull the power back and start to descend. That's a little better. Alright, let's get her down to 45. And then into 40. I think I missed the runway. But I certainly only needed minimal braking to stop by the taxiway. I'm pretty sure I put that on the grass just before the runway. Let's go look. Yep, just. Woodstock traffic, Juliet Papa Hotel, clear, runway 31, Woodstock. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed watching that. I had fun filming it. See you in the next video.